Warning. The following video contains mild lewd themes. Don't get too excited, I stress mild. But, just to touch on some lewd stuff here and there. And the spoilers for Cocoon and all. 40-year-old, so you've had a chance to watch it, but, yeah, there's your warning. Hey up, ravers! It's Science Fiction Space Week this week. Ask the Ratrons and the Ickle-Ratrons over on my Patreon page for their science fiction theme suggestions. And some science fact suggestions they gave me and all. And I'm not going to lie, the wheel were rammed, jam-packed with brilliant films on it, and I'd have taken any of them. But the rotating review randomizer decides, and this time it decided that we're watching Cocoon. 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 Fun to say, ain't it? Cocoon. Yes, Cocoon. Cocoon. How many different ways can you say cocoon? We'll find out, won't we? It starts off in outer space. Summit is whizzing past the moon and heading towards Earth. But we're not in space for long. Before we know it, something from outer space seems to be taking interest in the ocean. Bit like Star Trek 4, isn't it? Where they're after whales. Dolphins seem to be getting excited. We start having a mooch around underwater and we see what looks like some sort of lost city. Maybe it's Atlantis. Spoiler alert, turns out it is Atlantis. And we then cut to Sunny Shores Villas, old folks home in St. Petersburg. It ain't St. Petersburg, Russia, obviously. My guess is this Florida. Not that I've ever been. My knowledge of Florida is limited to some like it hot. But it looks like Florida. And we meet the characters from this old folks home, whilst having a gander at what typical daily life looks like. And I'm not going to lie, it doesn't look great. Not to me. I mean, they're having a good time. Well, I say having a good time, keeping the sends busy. Well, some of them are. Yeah, they seem in decent spirits, but I don't know, just feels like your world's shrunk and you're just counting the days before you drop off the twig. Oh crikey, that person is dropping off the twig. Oh, bloody hell. And these lads are getting out and about. Art, Ben and Joe, played by Donna Meachie, Wilfred Brimley and Hume Cronin, respectively. And they regularly trespass in the currently uninhabited house next door because they've got a nice swimming pool, what they're going. I'll be honest, I was a bit confused about why they needed to break in to go in the swimming pool because they live right next to the sea. So I didn't know why they didn't just go paddling in the sea, but if they didn't do this, then we wouldn't have a film. Then again, if the beaches in Florida are out like the beaches we've got in the UK at the moment, there's probably some serious sewage problems. En road, we then meet boat captain Jack Bonner, played by Steve Guttenberg. And he eyes his boat out to ungrateful tourists who stiff him on the payment. He's obviously skint, obviously desperate, but luckily for him, some new customers turn up.
We'd like to rent your boat for 27 days. If that wouldn't be too long for you.
No. Yeah. Yeah? 27?
Now, not only do they charter Steve Guttenberg's boat, but this mysterious group of folk, led by Brian Dennehy, decide to rent out the abandoned house next to the old folks' home. Is it just me, or does Brian Dennehy in this have a vibe of Harry Seacombe from an episode of Highway?
Well, all it takes from you and all it takes from me.
Yeah, he's a bit taller, to be fair, Brian Dennehy. And these folk head out on Guttenberg's boat and go deep sea diving around them ruins that we saw at the beginning of the film and start salvaging these cocoons. Not 27 days of this, so it's obviously a big project, obviously a lot of work to do to get these cocoons up from the bottom of the sea, and then they're transporting them back to land where they're leaving them at the new rental house, and they're discovered in the swimming pool by the trespassing fellas from the old folks home. But undeterred, these lads decide to have a splash about in the pool anyway, and for whatever reason, they suddenly feel amazing. Cue montage. Yeah, we get a montage of him being all dynamic, doing lots of acrobatic dives. It's quite impressive, to be honest. all accompanied by some 1980s funky electro music. Yeah, they're all leaping about as if they're decades younger. But in point of fact, one of the actors is decades younger than his mates. Which brings us to our new feature. Crikey, he had a tough paper round. Right, Brian Dennehy. I've already mentioned it reminded me of Harry Seacombe, but how old were he when he filmed Cocoon? 46! Crikey, he had a tough paper round. This bloke here, he's a familiar face. I've seen him in other things before when he was older. But yeah, how old is he when he filmed this? 25? Crikey, he had a tough paper round. I mean, look at his hair for starters. Come on, mate. He's got a comb over there. You don't want to look like that when you're 25, do you? Alright, who's put that on? Get rid. Alright, point taken, point taken. Lastly, Wilford Brimley, who playing one of the old pensioners here. How old were he when they filmed Cocoon? 49? Crikey, he had a tough paper round. Just for context, when Tom Cruise was 49, he was doing this. Now, these old fellas are rejuvenated. Suddenly they got some lead in the pencils again. And so the film has quite a few montages of them being dynamic, doing youthful things. And the actors are all in very good nick, to be fair. I mean, Wilford Brimley should be his 49 for crying out loud. But Don Amici and Oom Cronin, yeah, they've got good posture, they move well. Yeah, they do a good job of looking like old folk who feel like young folk. But in these things, there's always an obligatory scene where they have a stunt double doing the dynamic things, don't they? In this case, it's body popping and breakdancing. Don Amici ain't in shot when he's doing the moonwalk. And he ain't doing a backspin there, is it? They've just zoomed in on him close and somebody's moving him round by his feet. Although I did like it how he popped up at the end. Reminded me of Leslie Nielsen in The Naked Gun. Now while this is going on, Steve Guttenberg is busy ogling the young lady from the party of folk who's chartered his boat.
Reduced to a goddamn peeping Tom now, partner. It's embarrassing.
Oh, that's a relief. You wouldn't want your main hero character to turn out to be a pervert, would you? Oh, come on. You're better than that, Steve. You're better than that. Oh, no. But he's got a phone for this. He was ogling nude ladies in the shower in Police Academy and all. I reckon the characters he played in the 80s have probably got some historic Me Too allegations to deal with. And in this instance, the joke's on him. Because this lady doesn't just take her clothes off, she takes her skin off. Yes, Brian Dennehy's group are aliens.
We come from a planet called Antaria. About 100 centuries ago, we had an outpost here on Earth. And we were able to evacuate everyone except for my ground crew.
Ground crew?
And now we've come back for them.
So, Brian Dennehy is obviously project manager, if you will, for this rescue mission. And in the cocoons are their alien mates. And they're storing them in this swimming pool, which Brian Dennehy seems to be charging up with some energising life force product coming out of his hands. Not sure exactly what the science is, but it's alien science, isn't it? So we don't need to know. Now, the problem for our road folk is that they get caught trespassing and using the swimming pool. So after they've legged it in sheer terror, Wilford Brimley decides to go back and ask Brian Dennehy if they can please continue using the pool. Otherwise all their old ailments and illnesses are going to come back. Crack, it really does look like Harry Seacombe there, doesn't he? You just picture him belting him out wearing that, can't you?
Every 10 or 11,000 years or so, I make a terrible mistake.
You're gonna let us use the pool, aren't you?
You won't touch those cocoons.
Yes, at this point, I feel the need to provide my critique of Brian Dennehy's project management. For starters, I don't know why he bothered hiring Steve Guttenberg's crappy boat and renting the house with a swimming pool out Why didn't he just spend the money on a better boat, which had one of them ickle pools in the boat? I remember seeing a James Bond film where he were in a boat and they had an ickle pool in the boat. Why didn't they do that and just keep the cocoons in that? They'd have saved so much time lugging the sodding cocoons backwards and forwards to this sodding house. And apparently time is of the essence for him.
I'm trying to save 20 lives. And I'm running out of time.
Yeah, we could have saved your son plenty of time if you'd planned it properly. Crack, you've had 10,000 years to plan it. And yes, he shows his kind side in letting the old folk use the pool. But then, inevitably, when everybody at the old folks' home finds out about it, they all pile over there and just dive in like it's an episode of We Are the Champions. Away you go! And of course, they start dicking about with the cocoons, don't they? Well, that was always a risk, weren't it? Why did you even bother putting the cocoons in the sodding pool to start with? Just keep them in the bloody ocean. It was always a risk that somebody'd find them and start dicking about with them. And evidently the interference has led to a couple of the cocoons getting damaged and the aliens inside them dying. Now, I know he's over 10,000 year old, but crikey, he had a tough paper round. Now, for a project that's been 10,000 years in the planning, the fact that 10% of the folk you're trying to rescue have already died ain't a very good statistic. Now, I don't understand what's gone on here. Is it the amount of biddies that have been in the pool that sucked the life force out of it? In which case, why did he allow any of them in there? Or if it's not the sheer volume of biddies, was it just that the life force was contaminated? For example, had one of the biddies pissed in the pool? Was that what it was? Got to be some weak bladders in there. But if that contaminated the pool, maybe the lady alien shouldn't have had it off with Steve Guttenberg in the pool. There'll be all sorts of bodily fluids contaminating it then. That is not best practice. But then after the We Are the Champions biddy pool incident, then he's ready to jack it in.
Can you take them back with you on that spaceship?
No, they would never survive the flight. We don't have the time to get them all back into the ocean. We must leave this place tomorrow.
Crikey, talk about a defeatist attitude. But luckily for him, Wilford Brimley and the gang from next door help him get all the cocoons back safely down in Atlantis underwater. So thanks to a bit of teamwork, there are only 2 cocoons down. And Dennehy then comes up with this master plan.
I want you all to consider very carefully what I'm about to suggest to you. We have room for you and about 30 more of your friends.
So let's get this straight. He spent 10,000 years planning this rescue mission, has managed to kill 2 of them, is leaving the other 18 behind, and is returning to the alien mothership with a bunch of old biddies from the old folks home next door. I can't imagine his gaffers are going to be overly impressed with him, to be honest. But when the staff at the old folks home realise that everybody's gone AWOL, suddenly the entire Florida Coast Guard are called into action. Cracker, they're in Florida. You'd think they'd have some drug smugglers to intercept or something. But no, it's all hands to the pump to try and stop these biddies discovering the secret to eternal youth, courtesy of Harry Seacombe's alien mates. But the Coast Guard's efforts are all to no avail, as our heroes are successfully able to link up with the alien mothership. Now, as daft as this scenario is, the acting, I think, is very good in this. There's some proper stellar actors in this. Donna Meachie, Wilford Brimley, Cronin, they're all great. But the rest of the supporting cast is great and all. Jessica Tandy's in it, for heaven's sake. And Steve Guttenberg, despite his questionable behaviour, he's very likeable in this, he really is. But he decides to stay on Earth. No, instead he just watches his boat, packed to the rafters with biddies, floating on up into the alien mothership's anus. Tell you what, Brian Denny ain't going to be getting a warm welcome from his mates. Unless it were all a devious scheme to abduct a load of biddies for weird alien sex experiments. I think he's going to get sacked. Okie-do, on to raise ratings. Well, I'll be honest, I weren't overly taken by the premise of this film. If you say science fiction to me, my preferred type of science fiction tends to be depressing 1970s science fiction. And the premise of this didn't seem like that. So, I'm hoping for a 2.5 star film. But you know what? It were good. I enjoyed it. If it were different actors, I reckon it'd be overly sentimental. But the actors in this, they're just terrific. All of them, to be fair. Performances are great. And the special effects I thought were pretty good. I mean, we're talking mid-80s here, so could be a bit ropey around that time, couldn't they? pre-CGI, but I thought the effects were very good. So I'm rating Cocoon a 3-star, 2.5-star film. Yeah, talking of performances, Don Amici got the plaudits for his with an Oscar win for Best Supporting Actor. It's always good when they give a genuine Oscar to somebody, isn't it, before they drop dead. Better than them Lifetime Achievement Awards. You get a Lifetime Achievement Award, they're basically telling you nobody's got any faith that you've got another good acting performance in you before you drop off the twig. Crikey, is that Cher? She looks more alien than the aliens in Cocoon. Now, they did do a sequel, and they got the gang back together. I think everybody came back for a sequel. And I think I might have seen this one, I know. Again, probably about 30 odd years ago. If you'd have asked me, I'd have said I probably hadn't seen it. But I'm seeing these clips and they all ring a bell, so I think maybe I've seen it. Oh, there they are, with some stunt doubles playing basketball. Now, when I was investigating, it turns out Brian Dennehy only turned up in the last few minutes of the film. So I'm thinking maybe justice were done and he got sacked from his project manager job.
You've done well.
No, it's worse. They promoted him. He's now just overseeing other folk doing it. It's just typical, isn't it, that? Incompetent management get promoted. Makes you sick. Well, watching this has reminded me that there ain't no elixir of life. You want to maximise your life, you want to get out and do stuff when you get into old age like me. You got to look after yourself. And I achieve that by a daily regimen, including brain training. Training my brain. Flexibility and mobility. Hey. Calisthenics. Mixed in with a healthy dose of body popping and breakdancing. Hey. Ho. Hey. Well, I hope you enjoyed my review of Cocoon Ravers, and more importantly, I hope you're keeping your senses in good trim, keeping the brain and body active as we get older. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. Very important. And if you like my review, remember to poke the like button for me. Give it a good old poke. Maybe, if you like Brian Dennehy, you could wave some life force at it, couldn't you? And remember to share, rate reviews with your mates. And subscribe to the channel if you ain't already a subscriber. Much appreciated. And thank you as always for them lovely comments you folk keep popping on. Love reading them. Apologies if I don't get around to responding to them all, but thank you so much for them. I do thoroughly enjoy reading them. And today's review was selected by one of our patrons over on my Patreon page. And as well as being able to submit your suggestions for reviews, we do regular brain teaser challenges. You know, keep your mental agility up there as we're getting older. Very important. We also have monthly podcasts, and the Ratons Nickel Ratons get the treasured early access, which bypasses the sodding copyright box. So pop over to Patreon and join us. I'll pop a link in the description below. And copyright box permitting, I'll be back with another review for you very soon. So I will see you next time. Okie doo.